How's it going, fight fans? It's your boy, Joey G. I am back, and today we are talking about all things Impact Wrestling as we are on the road to Bound for Glory. And joining us today is a very, very talented rising star who will be competing at Bound for Glory and the opportunity to become the first ever Impact Digital Media Champion. We are speaking with John Skyler. John, good morning. How are you? Thank you for joining us today.
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to talk about Bound for Glory this Saturday and how I'm going to be the first ever digital media champion of Impact Wrestling.
Well, that's exciting to hear, man. I mean, listen, Bound for Glory every year is one of Impact's top pay-per-views. Yearly, they always put on such a wonderful show with big surprises and tremendous moments. Tell me, what would it mean for you to become the first ever Impact Digital Media Champion?
It would mean a lot. First of all, grew up a huge wrestling fan. So to hear people like D'Lo Brown refer to it as the new version of the television championship is kind of it's kind of cool because the guys I grew up watching, idolizing, the Arn Andersons, the beautiful Bobby Eatons, God bless him, Tully Blanchard, even Fit Finley, Steve Regal, people like that, they were all television champions. And I admire and pattern myself after all of them. So to know too that digital media and social media is such a big thing of today's generation, and to know that it's really changed the wrestling industry the way it has, to be the first digital media champion of a company is going to be huge because it means more eyes are going to be watching you on BTI, on Impact, on the pay-per-view specials, the Impact Plus specials, the pay-per-views, but also on social media. So YouTube, anywhere you can find Impact Wrestling, there's going to be more eyes on you than there's ever been. And I think that that's cool. And just anytime you can be the first of anything in wrestling, super, super cool thing or notch to have to hang your hat on, because I mean, everybody after that is going to be next. Right. So to be the first, I mean, that's really what I'm after. Is I'm ready to make history this Saturday at Bound for Glory and write my name in the history books as the first digital media champion.
And I personally could think of no better talent to be the first digital media champion. You listed a quite murderer's row of talent like your Bobby Eatons, your Arn Andersons, and I think you, sir, are fitting right up there. Good luck to you in that match. Now, speaking of that match, you do have some tough opponents standing across from you. You got your Falaba, you got Crazy Steve, you even got former Knockouts champion Jordan Grace. Who of these opponents, or which of these opponents, do you feel poses the biggest threat to you in this matchup?
See, it's such a hard question to answer because everybody brings something different to the table. It's a very eclectic cast of characters, and we don't even know the last two competitors yet. So, if you look at the size of Falaba, who's going to move him? How are you going to get him around? He definitely brings the size advantage to the table. Crazy Steve is a wild personality, very unpredictable, knows, no boundaries in terms of what he'll do to somebody. He'll be the first to thumb somebody in the eye or bite them or, scratch and claw. So, Crazy Steve's a bit of a wild card. And then you got Jordan Grace, who brings a lot of strength and power to the table. I know that firsthand. She definitely hits just as hard as anybody else that I've named that's in that match. So it's a very tough question to ask because in these kind of matches, you kind of have to have your head on a swivel. My game plan, being a thinking man's wrestler, is I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to rush in. I'm going to let everybody else make their mistakes. It's the world is watching this Saturday. It's the big stage of Bound for Glory. The lights are going to be on bright, as they say, and everybody's nerves are going to be at an all-time peak. So I'm going to be the guy that's going to sit back, be cool, calm, and collected with his head on a swivel. I'm going to let everybody else make a mistake, and then I'll capitalize, and then I'll leave digital media champion.
Very smart. Some say that's playing the game of chess and not checkers. And I look forward to watching you utilize that strategy this weekend. You personally, John, you've had your toes in a few different wrestling federations. You competed with AEW, but what was it about Impact that just felt right, that just fit right with you?
For the longest time, so I've been wrestling for 13 years. I've been all over the world. And for the last 13 years, I've been told no pretty much by every major wrestling company. And I knew that one day, if I just kept grinding and stayed the course, that, eventually those no's would become yeses. And there became a point in my career where it was almost at a crossroads. It's time to sink or swim. Either I stay the path and let my name, John Skyler, continue to be perceived as what it is, or I have the chance to go somewhere and break that perception and become a star and capitalize on opportunities. And really the best fit for me at that time, making that decision, was Impact Wrestling. I felt like I had a lot to offer. I feel like I still have a lot to offer. And right now, more than ever, it couldn't have worked out better, to sound selfish for me, because I debuted in front of our first live crowd back with fans. So I didn't have to debut in an empty arena. I beat Matt Cardona in my debut. I had the great series of matches with Laredo Kid. So already right out of the gate, I'm happy with gambling on myself. And that's a huge thing that guys talk about now, is gambling on yourself. Impact Wrestling was the perfect fit for me. And I'm very thankful that I turned a no into a yes. And I'm going to continue to turn no's into yeses. The work doesn't stop now that I'm signed. Now it just, if anything, it's the road here gets harder. The road does get harder. We all look forward to it. You're also a little bit of a prophet, because that's what I was going to ask you. You talked about making an impact in Impact. You came right in, defeated Matt Cardona in one of your first matchups with the company. I mean, how did it feel to beat a very established name in the industry and pretty much put the rest of the Impact locker room on notice as someone to keep their eye on? Really, it's all about making a good first impression. And I think that was the best first impression I could have possibly made, was defeating somebody that is so not only popular in Impact, but popular across the entire, wrestling scene, from his time elsewhere and from his time on the independents, what he's doing now on the independents, and Matt Cardona, to defeat such an established guy my first night in. I mean, we're off to the races after that, right? Essentially, I should be a made man. And again, I'm never going to rest on my laurels. That's something that a lot of people are going to learn about me very quickly, is, I'm not ever going to be content. And probably until the day I leave this earth, I will never be content with what I'm doing. I'm going to constantly try to make steps forward and steps forward and steps forward. And really, Matt Cardona was nothing more than the first stepping stone for John Skyler in Impact Wrestling. If people thought that was a huge achievement, they haven't seen nothing yet.
I'm telling you, buddy, we're really looking forward to seeing what you can do for this company, because truly the sky is your limit. Now, you have been, you've gotten to work in front of fans with Impact, and Impact have been running shows mainly from Skyway and in Nashville. Are you excited to get out to Vegas to perform in front of the very dedicated Impact faithful at Sam's Town?
Yes, very much so. I've been to Las Vegas a few times. Never really got the chance to wrestle on like a wrestling show this size in Las Vegas. So it's going to be a very important night for me. Like I said, it's validation in my career. I'm excited to be on the road, and it's going to be cool to be somewhere else with Impact Wrestling for a change. As opposed, Nashville was great. And the Nashville fans, despite them hating my guts, were an incredible audience to wrestle in front of. But it'll be cool to branch out and see what Vegas has to offer for Impact Wrestling. And I'm sure that the fans at Sam's Town Live are going to be excited, because I know the talent is excited. And we're excited to be kind of spreading our wings again, getting out there in the world, and performing in front of a different audience. It's going to be exciting, and I'm really thrilled. Couldn't be more ecstatic to be in Vegas this Saturday.
Yeah, that's good to hear, man. I mean, like I said, it's a very dedicated fan base. I grew up in Vegas and always loved when Impact came through. So I could tell you that the people there, whether they boo you or not, they're very excited to see you. And if they boo you, that's their problem, because they don't know the limits that John Skyler has. Now, Bound for Glory, besides your matchup, which I know you're focused on, but you got a really, really solid card. Are there any other matches that you in particular are looking forward to?
Right off the top of my head, I know it's going to sound cliche, but the main event with Christian Cage and Josh Alexander fighting for the Impact Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. Who would have thought in 2021 that we're sitting here talking about Christian Cage defending the Impact Wrestling Championship again? That was another huge. Christian just coming to Impact was another thing where it made me, and selfishly, I'm going to talk about me again for a second. Please do. It made me realize that I made the right decision in coming to Impact Wrestling when I saw somebody like Christian Cage come back. We don't know how long he's going to be around, but selfishly, again, I want to be I want to have the opportunity maybe to step in the ring with Christian, wrestle Christian, because he's one of the best of all time. And I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to promote a main event. I'm saying it because it's the truth. Josh Alexander could very well be the next, guy that Impact Wrestling hangs their hat on. And that's cool too. Josh Alexander, great athlete, great wrestler. I'm just excited as a wrestling fan to see that match and to see them fight for the ultimate prize in Impact Wrestling. I'm also excited to see Deonna Purrazzo and Mickie James because, again, going back to what I said about Christian, who would have thought in 2021 we're talking about Mickie James making a comeback and fighting for the Knockouts title. So, like you said, it's a stacked card, but I think the Josh Alexander Christian Cage match is probably the one I'm looking forward to the most. And I, without a doubt, can probably say it'll be a curtain sellout for the talent as well.
Well, that's good to hear because I know that it's a very highly anticipated match. I mean, even Josh Alexander having that pretty legendary X Division championship run, relinquishing the title to make this challenge. It's, really Impact has done a great job at stacking the deck, making this main event feel big. And it's exciting to hear that the talent are just as excited to watch the match as well. Now, do you have a prediction of how you think this match is going to go? Like who you foresee having an early advantage?
It's hard to say. I would say, Josh Alexander's in his prime. He is. How can you not say that Christian's not in his prime though? Still, he's in the best shape of his life. He's, obviously brings a lot of experience to the table. So if I was a betting man, I'm going to go Christian Cage. Christian Cage has been in the main events, for years. He's done, countless Bound for Glories. He's been a part of the big shows elsewhere as well. So, Christian, I would definitely say there's no challenge that'll rattle Christian. There's no obstacle that's going to rattle him. And I think that's going to give him the upper hand over Josh Alexander this Saturday.
That's exciting. Well, listen, man, your insight is just as sharp as your talent in the ring. I appreciate you giving me your input on that. I have one final question for you before we wrap it up, and reminding fans to please check out Bound for Glory this weekend. You're getting ready now for this multi-man match for this Digital Media Championship. How has your training been up there? Have you been doing things normally towards routine, or are you preparing for a little bit more of a hard-hitting affair?
I haven't really deviated a lot from my normal training regimen. I'm a big cardio guy. So if anything, it doesn't matter what size, shape, gender, wrestling style my opponent is. They're not going to last me or outlast me in the win department, I should say. I'm always going to have my lungs. I'm always going to have cardio. And that's really what I hang my hat on is if I need to wrestle 2 minutes, 10 minutes, or an hour, I can do it. And so really that's going to be a big factor, this Saturday. Cardio is always a huge factor, but that's really the main focus of what my training's been up until, especially even more so recently than even before. I've big cardio guy. So I'm going to make sure that I have my lungs, and if I have to beat 5 people at the same time, I'll beat 5 people at the same time. Again, how do you prepare for the interesting dichotomy of challengers that we have this Saturday? Everybody brings something different to the table, and we still don't know who 2 of them are.
Right.
So,
well, I appreciate you guys. I know it's kind of a sort of a general on the nose question, but I appreciate the answer because one thing that I've always noticed watching your work, even prior to your work in Impact, is I've noticed your cardio game. I've noticed that you have been able to go the distance when necessary or beat your opponent in a lengthy amount of time. And I know if anyone is able to figure out 2 mystery opponents and the opponents already stacked up against him, it is you, Mr. Skyler. Again, best of luck to you this weekend at Bound for Glory. And hopefully next time we talk, you will be hosting up that Digital Media Championship. I have faith that you could do it, and so do the Impact Faithful. Thank you so much for joining me, Joey G from Wrestling Headlines. Good luck again on Saturday, and God bless, my friend.
Thank you for having me. And this is the first Digital Media Champion signing off.